In today's video, we're going to look at what we call crowns and thrones. Again, crowns and thrones. And we're going to look at it from Revelation chapter 20, verses 4 through 6, which says, "And I saw thrones, and they that sat on them, and judgment was committed to them. Then I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded for their witness to Jesus and for the word of God, who had not worshipped the beast or his image." Now, if you remember in Revelation, for those of you that read Revelation chapter 13, that is the famous mark of the beast chapter where we all seem to get stuck on, but we fail to move beyond that to gain full context. As we continue with this particular verse, it says, "And had not received his mark on their foreheads or on their hands." In Revelation 13, it says right hand, which just means symbolically the point of authority in which you are motivated to put into action. Okay, your thoughts into action. All right. "And they lived and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead did not live again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection." Verse 6, "Blessed and holy is he who has part in the first resurrection. Over such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Judgment was committed to them. In other words, it was given authority to these people who were sitting on thrones to judge. So going into Revelation chapter 9, which is our corresponding chapter, we see in verse 1, it says, "Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit." Verse 2, "And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke that came out of the pit." Basically, what it's saying is that when this pit was open and the smoke arose, what it did now is start to shut down the light that emitted from the sun. So if there's no light going from the sun, there's complete darkness, and therefore there's no direction in your decision making and what you need to do for your next step in life, whatever situation that may be. Your decision making now starts to become hazy because you cannot see clearly to make a wise decision. And then verse 3 says, "Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power." Verse 4, "They were commanded not to harm the grass of the earth or any green thing or any tree, but only those men who did what? Who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads." John saw the image of those who were beheaded for the testimony of Jesus because they did not carry the mark of the beast or worship the image, but they had the seal of God, which is on their foreheads. But in Revelation 9, it gives you the flip side of what happens to those who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads, right? So in other words, you're seeing now a divide between two groups of people. You either have the seal of God in your thoughts or on your forehead, or you have the mark of the beast, which means you have a different type of behavior in your thoughts, which also manifests through your actions or your right hand. You see, you're going to start to see everything intertwined, and you're also going to start to see a repetitive message being exuded from the text, but they're just being presented before John in a plethora of examples so that he can understand the message that the angel of the Lord is trying to tell him. Now, if you notice at the beginning of the video, I flashed Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 5 through 8, because if you remember what I also read in the last video that I did, I read that same chapter and verses, and it says, "Thus saith the Lord," and listen carefully because this is the actual translation of Revelation chapter 9. And it says, "Thus saith the Lord, cursed is the man who trusts in man and makes flesh his strength, whose heart departs from the Lord. Verse 6, for he shall be like a shrub in the desert, and shall not see when good comes. In other words, you're so angry and you're so indignant that you can't even tell when somebody's trying to do something good for you, because there's no light in your life. The sun is now darkened in your life. The moon is not giving forth its light, as mentioned in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke chapter 21. Everything is dark, so you can't even tell who's good from who's bad. You don't have the power to discern right from wrong. That's what it's saying. And it goes further to say, for he, again, verse 6, for he shall be like a shrub in the desert, and shall not see when God comes, but shall inhabit the parched places or dry places in the wilderness, in a salt land which is not inhabited. But then look what it says in verse 7. It says, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, and whose hope is in the Lord, for he shall be like a tree planted by waters, which spread out its root by the river, and will not fear when heat comes, or when tribulation comes, or when persecution comes. But its leaf will be what? Green. Notice in Revelation 9, when the locusts came up on the earth, they were instructed not to harm anything green. The translation for that is in Jeremiah chapter 17. For the man who does trust in the Lord, it says, but its leaf will be green. It doesn't matter how hot it gets, its leaf will be green. And it goes further to say, and will not be anxious in the year of drought or famine, nor will cease from yielding fruit. Works. Fruit is synonymous with works. Also in Proverbs chapter 5, it also says, verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. It will be healthy for your flesh and strength to your bones. So you can see now that in Revelation 19 and also in Revelation 20, it's not necessarily talking about a time to come. It's the angel of the Lord is opening our eyes to more of a humanitarian thing, that when you do not have sunlight, right? He uses something natural so that we can understand a spiritual principle. When you don't have sunlight, when you don't have moonlight, when you go outside, if it's pitch black, you cannot go to the right or to the left or forward or backwards. Or you have a hard time judging what is good versus what is evil. But if you start to trust in the Lord, which is the light that is being referred to, you can discern good from bad, right from wrong, right? Light from darkness. And now you can move in timing, in proper timing, and you will yield forth fruit, good fruit, not rotted fruit, good fruit, because every fruit that grows requires sunlight for it to grow. So even when the heat comes, don't take it so much as a persecution, but take it more so as a process of growth. This marks the conclusion to part 2 of the 1,000 Years Millennial Reign with Christ. I thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.